It is with reasonable certainty that I can say we are all watching movies right now. The pandemic is raging like a pack of hemorrhoids, and we are stuck inside more than ever. Netflix is arguably the most popular and widely accessed streaming platform available. There's just one problem. It's filled with garbage. That being said, it has a lot of popular classics that, well, chances are you've probably already seen. But every now and again, there is an occasional diamond in the rough. This film that I'm about to discuss is certainly not for everybody, but it struck a chord with me. I haven't quite seen a film with this level of bravado and detailed storytelling in quite a few years. It is a film that is entirely original and, quite frankly, unlike anything that I've ever seen. It is worth noting at this point that I will be steering clear of spoilers and mainly showing footage that is just from trailers and early shots of the movie. Without further ado, this is what I believe to be the best film on Netflix in 2020. The film that I nominate as best of the Netflix bunch is called The Devil All the Time. You may have heard of this film or at least seen it scrolling through the Netflix homepage, but if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to watch it, and I'm going to tell you why. I first heard of this film from a buddy of mine named Seth. The two of us operate a film production company called True Fiction Pictures, and we are always on the hunt for new and interesting films to study and take inspiration from. He showed me the trailer and I said, "Meh. I love the actors starring in it, Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson, aka Spider-Man and Batman, but the reviews were mixed and I didn't love the overall aesthetic. It seemed like another Hell or High Water type of movie and I just wasn't very interested in what it had to offer. God, was I wrong." We decided to take a break one night from video editing and finally gave it a shot, so we grabbed our friendly pug Ginger and sank into the couch for the next 2 hours and 18 minutes. And it was awesome. Whoops, anyways. It was apparent off the bat that this was going to be a literary style of filmmaking. The movie was actually adapted from a book by author Donald Ray Pollock, and it definitely shows. The use of a narrator is introduced almost immediately. This is complemented by a pacing that moves through time, jumping back and forth from flashbacks to current plot points. The first flashback comes after we see our protagonist, Arvin Russell, and his father, Willard, praying. Willard is also played by Bill Skarsgård, aka every kid's favorite clown, Pennywise. The film shoots back in time to set up exactly how we got here, and the circumstances supporting why Willard and his son are praying. We see the tragedy and rough circumstances that brought Willard to faith, but even now, the audience begins to question it. Time moves on, and what ensues is the dark tale of Arvin's life. The film shifts focus to numerous sinister characters and their devilish deeds. I can't say without spoiling what these deeds are and what they entail, but just know that every little thing in the story is connected. Nothing is accidental, even when it is. This type of plot structure honestly reminds me most of Pulp Fiction. It's an unconventional series of plot lines that revert to a thrilling conclusion in which every action has been deemed significant by the structure and the overarching themes throughout the movie. I think it's this attention to detail that makes this film so remarkable at its foundation. Every single action has significance. There is no fat, filler, or waste of time. Every scene pushes both the plot and the theme in a cohesive and exhilarating manner. This is a movie that actually puts the characters first. The notion of putting characters first is an understated piece of what makes a great story. The most effective writing teachers that I've had have always put this fact forward. It's one of those things that is said so much that often we as writers and students just brush it off. It mostly becomes mere background noise after a while, but in reality, it's essential. It's what makes the story. Once the story arcs of each character are established, everything else will come organically. The story's mechanisms will work like a machine spinning towards the creation of something great. The second most important aspect of a good story often correlates with the world in which the characters live, and this is extremely well done in The Devil All the Time. I've heard arguments that the cinematography isn't necessarily groundbreaking in this film, but I would beg to differ. The camera doesn't always have to be moving in a crazy way to be considered good cinematography. Some of these early establishing shots are breathtaking in my opinion. They feel like a painting that I'm melting into. These shots work beautifully with one of the most interesting soundtracks in recent memory. The gothic sound from the piano tune lulls the viewer into a trance of complete focus as these shots happen. Once again, this film works in complete cohesion. Every storytelling mechanism is always firing on all cylinders in complete unison, and it's awesome. The cinematography, story structure, character arcs, and soundtrack all reflect the overarching theme, and I'm going to try to explain what I believe it to be without spoiling anything, of course. The majority of the characters in this film are some of the most vile and twisted people imaginable. And they all share one thing in common: faith. How is this important? Well, let's talk about the title. The devil all the time. Now, who is the devil? He is the ultimate trickster, the snake in the Garden of Eden, poisoning the minds of those within. He is deception incarnate. He isn't really a monster of brute force. He hides in the shadows and plays us like a game of chess. Now, this part's important, so wake up. If you were the devil, where would you hide? I'll give you a hint. It's right fucking here. So many people flock to religion to flee from the devil, only to run right into his arms. Now, I don't hate religion or the idea of faith, but I do hate the idea of blindly listening to any self-proclaimed prophet or ideology without a sliver of critical thinking. God gave you the gift of logic, reason, and rationality. Not utilizing these gifts will be your downfall, just like it was for so many others in the devil all the time. It's a twisted and vile look into the heart of man and how we can fall victim to it. It's a gothic tale of heroism, justice, and villainy. This is all portrayed by some of the most memorable performances of the year. Tom Holland portrays the story of Arden beautifully, a face of handsome innocence with a pair of traumatized and desperate eyes. Bill Skarsgård wears his despair on his sleeve, and it makes us totally believe his story. He has the face of a man torn down by war and loss, complemented by brutal fits of rage that just seem real. And we simply can't not talk about Batman. Robert Pattinson. It's truly remarkable to see just how far he's come from his days as Edward Cullen in Twilight. He plays a preacher that you simply love to hate. His charisma is intoxicating as he brainwashes those around him, and he's so handsome. God damn it. Even the side characters deliver performances that reflect every bit of their arcs written on paper. They all work in unison to deliver one hell of a performance. If you haven't already seen The Devil All the Time, then I highly encourage you to do so, because this might be my favorite movie of 2020, and I want to know what you guys think. Feel free to comment your thoughts and reactions below, alongside other suggestions for underrated films that we over here at Platform Media can cover. Thanks for watching, and remember, the devil is here all the time.